Hello, my name is Mary Miele. I am a tutor, a teacher, a parent, and the founder of Evolved Education Company. We are a full-service tutoring and advisement company for all of your educational solutions. On this podcast, we'll explore ideas, techniques, and resources that you can use to support your school-aged child to conquer any learning issue. I'm so glad you're here. Hello. So we are starting today's podcast as a series of 3 to offer some ideas and suggestions to parents who are anticipating the start of a brand new school year coming out of the pandemic. And we wanted to offer you some ideas and expertise to help you make the most of what will surely be a transition of great importance for your child and your family. So today's podcast, and we're taping this also on video, although I see my video is a little laggy, is going to be really focused on our younger students. So we'll have also in the next 2 episodes, concentration for middle school as well as for high school teenage students. But today we're really talking about our youngest students, pre-kindergarten, nursery, all the way through really elementary school. And I'm joined today by Samantha Chau, who is a tutor and educator here at Evolved Education Company. She's also a member of the school teaching school leadership team here. And she has a degree in primary education from the University of Technology in Sydney and an MA in early childhood education and special education from New York University, where I also went to school, which is so exciting. She has a decade-long career now of teaching experience spanning 2 countries, Australia and the United States. Her recent positions include lead teacher at Lenox Hill Neighborhood House Early Childhood Center, and she has also worked as a New York City special education intern teacher, or a SEIT. She is about to begin a head teaching job at the Garden House School, where she'll be teaching pre-kindergarten students, and she specializes in establishing learning partnerships whereby students and their families feel comfortable and respected throughout the learning process. I'm very excited to welcome Samantha, Sam, today, as I know her. And I'm going to just kind of kick things off with some questions that she and I will just answer and share some ideas about. So the first question is just, what do you think parents of young students can do to prepare for the fall? And I'll start because before this, we were just kind of sharing a couple of ideas, and I was thinking about the episode that I did on cognitive load, which was earlier in the series of our podcast. And I talked there a little bit about how when students are learning something new, or when their neurology presents us in a certain way, we need to really be careful of how much new information and how many new experiences we give students. And I think when I'm thinking about the fall, I'm certainly thinking about children who are going to be entering classrooms perhaps for the first time in a year's time, maybe for the first time period, as in a younger student may have actually opted out of a nursery or twos program and are now for the first time coming into a classroom, or they've been in a hybrid situation and now they're coming back to the classroom full time. Any of these scenarios are going to require a student to be creating schemas in their brains. Schemas are stories that have context in them, that have defined neural pathways to move through, that we develop when we experience something. And so when your student's going into the classroom, everything's going to be brand new and they have to process everything around them. So we think about the senses when we think about processing. So they're going to look around the room and they're going to see charts and they're going to see books. They're going to see the block center. They're going to see the different centers in the room that have toys in them. And they're going to need to attend to morning meeting on the rug or in a circle, or later, if they're a bit of an older elementary school student, they have to unpack their bags and sort of get ready for the day and regulate themselves during that initial part of the day in that very busy new environment with so much to look at and process. In addition, you're going to have all the other kids in the room, which is really probably quite new for students in that they're going to have background noise of other students. They're going to have friends they want to chat with, but they actually are in the same room with them, and it's a little bit harder to stop themselves maybe from those fun exchanges and dialogue. Students are going to need to attend to the teacher when maybe in remote learning, they were able to get up and sort of move around and walk around and have their own space and do a cartwheel every now and then as they wanted to. And, this is all going to require energy from them. So I say this all to you in a long-winded way because I really want you to understand that your job as a parent is to be aware of that and to perhaps do some things before and after school to really help a student feel a relief of the energy they have to spend to get through what they need to get through. And how do you do that? You create a nice routinized schedule for them that they're really a part of creating, and you routinize that for them. So they almost don't have to think about it. And a great way for my youngest students to do this is to take pictures of what they actually need to be doing in the morning and in the evening. It's a great way to involve your kid. You can even get one of those Polaroid cameras that, pop out the picture right away and label it right on the bottom. This is you getting dressed. This is you eating your breakfast. This is you brushing your teeth. This is you grabbing your book bag and your shoes. And then, later on we'll add the coats and all, right? So just really routinizing those times for them and practicing it ahead of time, ahead of when school starts, helps, because then now kids don't have to learn that in addition to now going into the school building and thinking about all the things they have to think about. So I think pictures are a great way. Also, a wall-mounted calendar so that kids can really see time and they can understand how many days am I actually going into the school building? What is the energy I'm going to have to give? Let me plan this out so I can have my stamina for this, right? So I'm going to stop there and pitch it over to Sam, as she might have some additional ways that you can also help your child to prepare. And Sam, what do you think of that idea? And then also, what are your ideas?
I completely agree on how I can't emphasize how important setting those routines are. It seems such like a little thing for us as adults, but yeah, it can make such a world of difference for kids. And the visual element that you mentioned and practicing it before school starts you can make it like such a fun activity too. And I definitely think it'll just make such a difference. That's something I always emphasize to parents is routines, because it's something that we emphasize from day one in the classroom. In addition to the routines, I would say start having the conversations now about how do they feel in terms of going to school? Like, what are their expectations? And give them the language and model it to them. And you can say, for example, like, oh, I've had so much fun with you, at home this year, and we've learned together, we've had fun this summer, and I'm going to miss you, that you're going to be in school now, but I'm also so excited for you to, learn new things and meet new friends. And that way you can share some of your feelings and show them that it's okay that you're nervous maybe, but that you can also hold on to the idea that, yeah, it's going to be fun too. Labeling those emotions is a great thing for kids because, they haven't quite acquired all, the nuances and stuff of the different emotions. And something I hope that parents can do maybe is read a lot with their kids. There are so many age-appropriate books on the social and emotional development. There's like a whole range. I would just start reading a few of them before the school year and make it part of their routine too. Like reading in general is just such a beautiful thing to do with your child. So just choosing, a few of those books that will help them in that transition will be great. I also personally love the Disney movie Inside Out. If anyone's seen it, it's a great one for parents to enjoy with their kids. Like I would do something like a movie night. It's just such a great way to to see emotions in this concrete and fun way. And then you can have such great discussions with your children afterwards and make it fun. The next thing I would say it would be really fun to do with your child is create like a special goodbye routine. So when they go to school that first day, obviously there are going to be nerves, but having something very special with your child will be just something they can hold on to as they, step into the classroom. So it could just be like making a secret handshake with your child and practicing that before, school kicks in, just like making it part of you practicing your routine. And, if you have a few of your kids going back to school, maybe each one of them can have something different. But I think that would be a really nice way for kids to hold on to their parents, as they move back. But yeah, they're just a few of the little things I
love those ideas. Have you ever heard of the book called The Kissing Hand?
Yes, I love that.
That's a particularly wonderful book to read.
Yes, I definitely.
I remember my daughter would do that. Yeah. Hold a kiss in her hand when she was going off to school. It was very scary. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I know also, you're going to be a classroom teacher this year, and I imagine that you are having conversations with your school, and I'm sure many teachers right now are having conversations about how to support kids in school. And I guess just from a top level perspective, what are some things that parents can know that teachers are thinking about? So I think sometimes parents feel that either they need to do everything and sort of hold on to their child and make sure everything is going well, or they just, maybe have a more hands-off approach to it on the other end of the spectrum. But really, maybe happy medium is to know a little bit about what teachers are doing in the classroom and know that there's some thought around some of this. And then, you will have the ability perhaps just to feel more confident in this, the start of the school year. So I wonder if you might want to talk to us a little bit about what to expect.
Being a pre-K teacher in the early grades, social and emotional learning is such a key piece. I think, unfortunately, it gets lost as we get older into the older grades. But I always like to tell parents that, we obviously have a lot of academics coming along, but I always want them to know that at the beginning of the school year, a big portion of it is about just building that social and emotional foundation there, because we want to make sure the kids feel safe. You can't learn if you don't feel safe. So how do we do this? We, again, will bring in a lot of great texts to read in the classroom. I often do lots of check-ins with the kids. Like in the morning, we make an effort to, ask them how they're feeling. Like if kids are shy, I might ask them to give me a nonverbal sign, like a thumbs up and thumbs down. And I always, sometimes they could be in the middle. And I always say to them, oh, I'll check in again later. Maybe it's turned up or turned down. So I really emphasize that with parents, because I think sometimes they get so nervous and like, oh, is my kid going to learn all this and that and all their letters and all their numbers? And I'm like, it's okay. I just want you to know that there'll be a lot of focus on the routines as well. So again, as we mentioned, routines are so important from day one. I think we will focus a lot on, developing those expectations and the routines. And we really teach them explicitly. So with my kids, I really model that with them. And there's a lot of social kind of skits that I would do with the kids. And once I feel that they've become this little community and everything is kind of on this automaticity, then I feel the learning can start really thriving. But yes.
That goes back to, sorry to interrupt, but that connects to me because the work I've been doing on understanding more about cognitive load, because if you're a child coming into the classroom, developing those safety protocols, if you will, and just feelings of community and belonging, are learning in a really important way. And then once those are sort of established and you have the frameworks there, this is when we can layer on new academic learning because we have that safety base. That makes really good sense. And also something for parents to keep in mind, as they might not see rigorous academic work from day one. That's the reasoning why. And if they do see rigorous work from day one and their child is coming home and melting down, this would be good information for parents to have so they could advocate for their child and tell perhaps the teacher or the administration that the child needs more time to feel comfortable to have the routines before ramping up on some of the new academic learning. That makes really good sense.
And I actually, try to reach out to parents. I mean, every teacher's different and every school's a little different. But yeah, I like to ask parents to share anything they want about their child beforehand. I might give this out as a little letter with a few questions. And I think, you touched on a great point about having parents, start off advocating, but, on a positive note, just start building that relationship with the teacher and letting them know that, if your child did have some anxiety, like coming back in, like, let the teacher know so they can keep an eye on it too. So, for me personally, I am a big fan of the partnership, and obviously we have to work together. So I welcome it when parents do reach out and, start the year off with a very positive kind of communication. I welcome it.
And just a final question on this. I wonder if you could also tell us a little bit about what parents should be doing in terms of that communication. Is there any sort of best practices? For example, if you're concerned ahead of school starting that your child's going to have trouble, should you reach out ahead of time to the teacher or the administrator to share that concern? Or should you wait until school starts? Should you wait until the teacher gets to know your child, even if that means their first day is a bit rocky in terms of the child feeling comfortable? Maybe there's some tears, et cetera. But what's your take on that? Is there sort of a better way to handle that dance, if you will, or is it really sort of okay anyway? I guess I'm thinking perhaps it just sort of depends on how the teacher likes to work, and maybe, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm answering the question in processing this, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
I agree. I think it is based on the teacher. I think as a parent, hopefully you can start to gauge a little, the style of the teacher. At the same time, I feel like it's important to validate your own concerns and emotions, but be mindful maybe of the way you just present them. You can maybe put it in a short email, friendly email, but also have that expectation that teachers also, we are going through a transition ourselves, going through the school year, into the school year. And so don't expect that they're going to be coming back to you straight away. We generally like to take some time to soak in the information. So if a teacher doesn't get to you straight away, don't take it personally that they don't care. Maybe they're just trying to, digest it and have their own boundaries as well. So again, I think it's very up to the individual, like teacher. But I do feel like it is important to, as a parent, to acknowledge all, as any human beings, that we have these emotions. And I believe that parents are the first teachers and they know their kids best. So maybe sometimes, parents do get, a little worked up, but I still try. And I believe like every teacher does remember that at the end of the day, and they will see that little kernel that's in there. So I think it's okay. Do what you feel as a parent, and you'll learn as the year goes on, like what's the best way to express my concerns. But personally, for me, I don't mind it. I welcome it. It gives me a bit of insight to their child. But I also kind of want to make my own judgments.
I was just thinking as you were talking that something I could offer as an idea would be to contact your teacher just to introduce yourself and let them know you do have some concerns, but then just ask how the teacher would prefer you to go about expressing those concerns, whether it be a phone call before school. Do they want to get to know the child just forewarn them that it might be a rocky first day if that's your concern. And having the information may be helpful. So you might want to say that, right? So it's just a matter of really, it's forming a relationship with someone on your team of people supporting your child. So you should really work at this. And it's really, I think, important, especially in the early years, for parents to realize that even if it may be difficult for you to be heard or to have this exchange, it doesn't necessarily mean that your child isn't being educated fantastically. Sometimes it's just something that adults need to work on in the way that they work together. And I've certainly found this in my own work over the years, that I had my own particular style of working with parents, and then my coworkers had different styles of working with parents, similar to how maybe a doctor would have a way to contact them off hours, or maybe they would have a way to ask questions, or maybe they don't, right? And so there's just sort of a different way of working with families that you need to respect and also ask about. And if you continue to not have your needs met and you feel as though you can't form a partnership here, that's really when you would express that to the teacher first, I would hope. And then, of course, if not, to administrator. But I think it's always important just to continue to work on forming that relationship, because it's so crucial, as Sam said. Well, I just wanted to leave us with a moment just to offer any other 2 cents advice pieces before we leave. And I will let you go first, Sam.
I think that we should all just remember how resilient kids and we are. And I think if the past year and a half has shown us is that expect the unexpected, but trust in yourself and your kids and as a family that you'll see it through and you will learn along the way, and it will be hard, but it'll be okay. We'll make it. That's all I can leave us with.
I love that. I love that reminder. And I completely agree. I think even though it is it's always a tough transition. I think the first 2 weeks of school for everyone involved is exhausting, and for good reason, right? And for important reason. And so I just hope that this podcast helps you to have a couple of ideas to make that process go better for you. But also, please know that that's what our company is here for. And we really do embrace parents as people that we support in addition to our students, because our mission is to make sure that students learn well. And that's really all encompassing, right? It involves the teachers, the parents, and the students together. So I want to thank Sam so much for coming on today and offering us these great ideas. And if you're listening in either video or podcast form, we'll kind of have our traditional closer on the podcast, but we are here to have an offering of services, whether it be tutoring, school placement, parent education, or advocacy. And also for tutors and professionals, we also have the teaching school, which Sam is involved in as well, to support educators in a community-based membership platform. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much for listening to Evolved Education. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and write a review. You can send us any and all educational questions to hello@evolveded.com, and we'll try to address it in our upcoming episodes. That's evolveded, EVOLVEDED.com. To learn more about how we can support you, go to evolveded.com and book a complimentary 15-minute phone call with us. Are you a professional educator? You can join our teaching school membership platform to gain support and engage in a community interested in learning together. Click on the link in our show notes to learn more.